I'm great, thank you. How are you?
I'm
I'm so excited to be here.
Thank you. Me too. I'm excited too. Your hair is just beautiful. I can't wait till mine get that length. It's the length for me. It looks so
Oh,
healthy.
thank you. Thanks.
You're welcome. Okay, so we're gonna jump right in. As far as you can introduce yourself to everyone that's here, and then you can tell us a little about. Well, I'll let you introduce yourself first.
Yeah, sure. Hey, everybody, good night, good morning, wherever you're at in the world. I know it's your morning over there. It's my night. I'm Shibivia, also known as Shenice. I'm a wife, a mom to the sweetest baby boy. I'm sure every mom says that about their baby, of course, but yeah, he's literally the sweetest. I'm an entrepreneur. I help small businesses and startups better position their business for funding. And I also am a co-founder of a business loan brokerage where we help startups to mid-sized businesses and growing businesses get the funding solutions that they need to grow their business. So at the core, that's pretty much what I do. And I share content here on the internet, YouTube, all the fun stuff. So yeah, that's a little snippet about me.
Okay, I love it. I love it. So, where are you originally from and where are you located now?
So I was actually born and raised in Jamaica. So I was born and raised in Jamaica. Is my thing? Sorry, I have the little. That it should be fine. I'm sure that's okay. The little sparkly thingy on the screen.
Oh
But
yeah,
I was
it's
born and
like
raised in Jamaica.
I think it's like a filter, but it's
So
cute.
there
You
you
look
go.
cute. Keep going.
Okay, thanks. So I was born and raised in Jamaica, and then I migrated to the United States in 2013, uh, under like family, mom and her husband's side of the family, stuff like that. And then when I moved to the US, I was living in New Jersey and like more central New Jersey. And then I moved to South New Jersey. And then we moved to Dallas after I got married and everything. I moved to Dallas in 2021, Dallas, Texas. And now I am living in Thailand, Bangkok, Thailand with my family.
We love it. So tell us about your transition from the States to Thailand. What did that look like? What was that experience like, that transition?
Yeah, that's a good question. So, oh my gosh, I'm probably going to backtrack real quick, but um, when we decided to move, right, that the couple months when we decided to move, the months prior, it was like it was literally almost like a blur because not so much it was a blur, but I was so laser focused. Like nothing else around me mattered. I don't care. Like I was so laser focused on getting up out of here or getting up out of there. Right. So we, and I kind of work really well under pressure. Right. So like we literally decided solid, like, okay, we're going to make this move in we're gonna make this move by August, right, or by September, and that pretty much gave us only like 3 months. So that was in the span of 3 months we had to like get going. Yeah, I'm talking like visa process, getting rid of all our stuff, all the things that came along with like moving.
Mhm.
But prior to that, 2 years before that, so in 2022 was the first time I visited Southeast Asia. So I had just quit my job as a flight attendant at the time. I had just quit. I was like growing my business and stuff like that. And God had told me a whole year, right? For an entire year, I knew, okay, it was time to quit. But I was like really holding on to it because it's one of those pride things,
Mhm.
it became such a part of my identity. Like, this is who I am. I'm a flight attendant, all these things. So a year prior in 2022, I was like, okay, it's time to let it go. It's time to call it quits. I quit that. And then right as soon as I quit, we did like a sabbatical, I guess you can call it that, right?
Mhm.
Took a month-long trip or a little bit over a month to Southeast Asia. We first went to Bali, Indonesia, and then we came to Thailand. And I fell in love with the place, like Bali, Indonesia, and,
Yeah.
Thailand, Bangkok. And I was like, oh, when we were in Bali, I was like, I could see myself living here. I could see myself living here for a long time. I almost bought, that's a whole new story too, but like almost bought land. I was like looking at land, looking at the process, going to this real estate place. Because at the time my business was doing well, fortunately, so I had a little money in my account and I was like, oh, I can buy the land for this much, even though, it's a whole different type of process with buying land there. You kind of either have the partnership, can't really technically fully own it outright as a as a foreigner, right? There's like leasehold and stuff like that. But anyway, I was looking at that's how serious I was, and that's how much I fell in love with the place. And so I think that seed was planted there. And I've been to, at this point, I've been to, a few dozen countries, right? And it was just something special about like Southeast Asia in general, but like Bali. And so I knew eventually we were gonna like move. And so last year was like really it for me. I had we had a lot of like moments where it was just like, okay, we're just fed up. Just like we're just fed up of the systems, just everything that was happening, with us personally and just in general, like things that we couldn't necessarily control, right, with living in the US. And I don't want to be too long-winded, but I can go on, tell stories, of all the things, but I'll just wait until you probably like ask those questions. But like, yeah, last year was like it for us. And we were just like, okay, we're moving. But here's the thing though, we initially didn't plan to move. We made up our minds last year, like early on, maybe March or April, that we were going to eventually move. But the initial plan was to move by this year, 2025, March. That was the initial goal. And then it's like my spirit, God, I'm intuitive as well, was just like, it's this year. Like you have to make the move this year, like before October, if you can do that, before November, before October. And I was like, well, Lord, I don't know how that's going to happen, because at the time we were, for one, I was still technically tied to the United States Air Force, right? So my 6-year contract, as a reservist, not active duty, but my full-time contract officially ended last month. And I had submitted my early separation packet, because once you become a mom or you become pregnant, you have that year to decide, okay, you want to separate early. So I did that, put in my packet. But of course, the military, they're slow with everything. So that took a while. But I'm like, I can't wait on y'all. I can't say too much on here, on live. But
right, I know. Look, I get it.
So, but in addition to that, we were staying at this place that we were renting. I had a home in New Jersey, but we had moved to Texas and we were renting there. And our lease wasn't going to be up until March as well. So my contract was going to end in March, and our lease for that place was going to end in March. So it made sense to say, okay, March. Okay. But God was like, nope, it got to be done early. And I'm like, how is that going to happen? And I mean, so many things came like lined up, like came to where it worked in our favor, as far as, extra income and all of those things that made the process still doable, right? Feasible. And then when we figured out, okay, what it cost to break this lease? So I know a lot of people, they want to really move ASAP, but it's like they're looking at the lease, what it's going to cost. But sometimes if you really do the math, calculate how much you're spending on rent right now, right? And then see how much it is that you're going to be spending on rent when you move to a place. You'll find that you probably end up still save money, even though it's going to cost you a little bit upfront to break the lease.
Right.
So that's what we did. We did the math and everything and whichever, and that's how we made that move.
I love it. So typically moving abroad is sometimes like a struggle for some people. Like there are pros and there are cons. What would you say the cons were? Because I wanna break down what it looks like. Because people always say, oh, you guys make the journey look so easy. And it's like, no, we talk about the pros and we talk about the cons, but you guys hear what you want. But I want to break down the cons and then kind of go into the pros. So what were the cons that you dealt with? Any adversity that you had to face when going through that transition from the States to another country? Were there like
Mm-hmm.
bigger things that you had to go up against? Anything in particular?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. I can definitely think of some. Well, for one, like the visa process in a sense, right? That can be a little bit tricky navigating, especially if you decide not to maybe use a facilitator or an agency, that can make the process go by quicker, smoother. And it's not that we didn't necessarily want to do it. The process was pretty simple. Like my husband and I were, you he's really good with like instructions, navigating stuff. He's he's the tech guy,
Mm-hmm.
right? I'm very thorough as well. So we're like, okay, we can do this. But the problem was when we were first looking at moving abroad, right? Last year, over the summer,
Mm-hmm.
at the time, we were applying for a Bali visa because Thailand at the time did not come up with their like long-term uh, digital nomad visa that allows you to stay a little bit longer,
Mm-hmm.
right? It was more so like retirement ones, just like the touristy ones, the short-term touristy ones. And so we didn't really want to do that. We wanted a little bit more stability,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so we decided to apply for the Bali one because that they came out with theirs. And so when we were applying for it, I don't know. I think Bali, I love Bali, but they made their system super complicated, super complex in regards to making the payment, right, on their site. So you couldn't just like pay it using like a Visa, MasterCard, whichever. You couldn't
Oh
do
wow.
that. You had to go through some, yeah, complex situation, like go to a specific bank's ATM, but not American banks too. That was the problem. It
Mm.
was like Indonesian banks. Like those banks were like in Indonesia. There
Wow.
was one bank listed that was literally only in New York, right? And so I'm just like, how are we gonna make this payment, right? Fortunately, fortunately, this is why it's good to like, have certain connections and, networking and stuff
Mm.
like that. When we went to Bali in 2022, we connected with a couple people. One in particular was the house cleaner that we had. She was so amazing. We're friends now, still,
Oh, I
on WhatsApp and everything. Yeah, Yenny, she's so amazing. She would cook breakfast for us, do our laundry, things that we didn't expect, but she like went above and beyond. She was just amazing. Oh my gosh, amazing. And so we still had that connection. And Balinese people, they're so like trustworthy. They're so trustworthy, so kind. They believe in karma. So they're not necessarily
oh,
going
I
to do
love.
anything to you, that they wouldn't want to happen to them or happen to their children. So, long story short, I was like, okay, let me reach out to her. Let me see if we can send her the money via Western Union and she can make the payment to the account, right, that they wanted us to make the payment to. So that's what we did. She made the payment and we were able to get the visa. And so it was a little bit, it took a little bit of navigating, but we made it work. And then, like, maybe a week after that, Thailand then came out with their long-term visa.
Wow.
But then we applied for it too because we were like, we want to have options. So,
Right. That's what I was gonna ask. So you have two. That's so
hmm yep.
cool. I love it. That's
Yeah, and
smart.
then we went to Bali first. Yes, we wanted to have options because I'm like, we're jumping on this. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know if things are going to change, if they're going to change it because, people like to change stuff, requirements, rules, whatever. So we jumped on that too, girl. We were like, okay. Um, but Thailand, so this is another hoop that we had to jump through.
Okay.
And I'll say this, right? Because it's like the US, they don't want people to be leaving. Okay,
Yeah.
I'll say that. Thailand, right? They had a certain requirement, right, for that visa. Like these are the requirements. This is what you need. Blah 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 blah.
Right.
We applied through the consulate that they recommended that's closer to us, even though it's online. You apply online, and then the consulate will come back after a few days saying, okay, we got this, but we need this, and then we need this, and then we need this. They were asking for additional things that weren't even required by the actual Thai embassy on the Thailand site.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm. Like
Okay.
not just additional threshold, but also like extra stuff. Like, okay, I think something about pay stubs or some extra stuff that just was not a part of the requirement, the general requirement, right? And
Mhm.
so we had to keep going back and forth, send them stuff that we needed, and then even though we thought we sent them stuff, they were still coming back. And let me tell you how it's different because we have experience from different angles. Because
Okay.
as a family, you one person applied first, and then the rest of the family members basically applied under that person's visa, like as a sponsor, right? And
Right.
so we initiated it under one person, like my husband, and then we were like, look, they're taking too long. They're back and forth, whichever. We're still leaving. So we left and went to Bali first while we finalize the stuff for Thailand because we didn't want to enter without things being finalized. And then we just hacked it. We did a quick visa hack and we went over to a neighboring country. Okay. Well, actually, still Bali, but Jakarta, right? Jakarta in Bali. And they have a Thai embassy there you can go into in person and do
Really?
it. And in 3 days, yes, they take your passport though, but in 3 days, honey, you get it back. Their requirements is simple. It's no extra stuff. What the Thai embassy says is what it says. It's easy peasy. We went there and we did it and we got ours back in like 3 days.
The
Meanwhile,
visa for Thailand.
the visa for Thailand, yeah.
Wow.
We
Okay, so
did it
let me
in
touch on
Jakarta,
Jakarta,
Indonesia.
Indonesia. Okay, so let me touch on something just so that people, so I can make sure everyone is listening. So
Hey,
when you
y'all.
do when you do apply for the visa, you cannot be in the country.
No, some people are saying that technically you can, but then it's like you kind of have to exit and then come back. But they say that it's better to not be in the country because you have to re-enter to activate
The
the visa.
visa.
So, mhm.
Okay, okay, just so that, because I know people always have questions. I feel like I'm so good with intuitively asking what I know people want to know. So yeah, because people are interested. Okay, and then so you have two visas. I love that, and that's so funny because I actually thought about that before. I was like, I know a lot of people can't financially sometimes afford it, y'all. So I'm not saying that y'all have to go out and do it, but I feel like it's smart when you have more than one country that you really love and that you can see yourself living in, and it gives you options so you're not stuck. Because times change, things change, life changes. So wonder if you might want to go to that different country instead of staying at that place, or maybe you might figure out something that you have more of an advantage of in this other country than you do the one that you're in. You get what I'm saying? So it just makes more sense. So I
Exactly.
love that. I've never met anybody who's done that. You're the first. So that's
Oh wow.
dope. Yeah, I love that.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. And yeah, and actually, I'm looking at okay how I can get residency in some other country. I know these parts is probably a little bit hard to get like residency, even temporary, but I'm even looking at that too, honey, because you just never know.
Yeah, you never know. You never know. I love that. I love that so much. Okay, so what like did you sell anything? Did you have to like sell anything before you left? Before you left where you were? Did you have to like sell home, car, anything like that before you left?
So I'll say this. I sold my house, my first house. I bought my house was in New Jersey. I sold it a year prior, but that wasn't because I was moving abroad.
Okay.
That was just because the value went super up. I was doing Airbnb with that property, long distance Airbnb, because that's something that I also do as well. But I was doing long distance Airbnb with it. We're living in Texas, and that property was in New Jersey, and it was being managed well because I implemented the right systems, had the right people, automation. I'm team automation,
I
okay,
love it.
and so it was doing really well. But I mean, after 2 years of being in Dallas and running the Airbnb and having the property for like 5 years, the home went up in value. So I'm like, okay, this is a good time to sell before things get crazy. So I decided to sell the year before. Um, but the what we had to sell was I sold my car. I had a vehicle. like an SUV type like vehicle. My husband had his car. My vehicle was paid off. He was still making payments on it. And so, but he was still able to sell it really fast. Got a little bit of change for it, a little change, something,
Right.
right? But it was nice because he still had a payment, so it was nice that he was able to get something back, and I was able to get something back for my vehicle too. It just made sense to sell it. It was no point keeping it, to have whichever. So it didn't make any sense. Uh, Household stuff, of course, we sold everything down to the everything. I mean, you think of decor stuff, picture frames, you'll be surprised what people want to buy.
You will.
Like,
You will.
yeah, there's nothing in storage. We don't have anything in storage. We sold everything. Anything we didn't sell was sent to like maybe Goodwill or donated or whichever. But we pretty much sold everything that we had, car, yeah.
Okay.
If I
So
if I didn't sell my property the year before, I would have just it would still be doing Airbnb, and I would have been fine with it because I had the right people and tools, people around me. I
right.
had a really good realtor, a stager. She had her team, um, cleaners, automated system, handy person. So just to throw that out there, I'm throwing that out there as a quick tip, like for people who are thinking about moving, but they're worried about like having the actual house. There's so much that you can do with it. You can either rent it out long term, have like a property manager that manages, the property, stuff like that, or you're doing short term Airbnb that takes a little bit more management because it's shorter term, or you can do midterm, right?
Mhm.
So it's up, or you can have the house empty. But I always suggest getting at least some money back for for it.
Right.
So
And
yeah.
that's what I wanted to highlight. I wanted you to kind of share exactly what you shared. Like you had already shared it because I wanted people to get an idea of what's best to do. I know sometimes people sell everything and then I know sometimes they don't. So I always like to highlight that to give people different perspectives because a lot of people, they are not ready to release everything and that's okay. And I don't ever want people to feel like they have to, you can keep stuff in storage just like you were saying, or you can rent out your house. And a lot of people's like, I own a home. I can't just leave my house and go out the country. Yes, you can. There are options, but you have to be open to those options and you have to explore them and see what fits you best. So I love the way you answered that question. Okay, so life in, let's start with Bali first. Food, people, environment. What is the difference from Americanized lifestyle and hustle culture, and then being in Bali, where I know a lot of people always say that sleep, eat, pray era? What is like the difference between the two, and what are the advantages?
Oh my gosh. I mean, you basically just said it, girl. You just said it. I mean, I was just even sitting here thinking like I'm looking forward to going to Bali. I think maybe I'll be going next month or something.
Okay.
Um, yeah, I don't know the exact date, but I'm like being led to go there like really, really soon. I'm gonna be connecting with a couple of other people who are, like expats who have moved over there too. But it's almost incomparable,
Mm.
almost to the US, from the food quality, the freshness, to the people, the way of life, everything. I like to say, like, if you want therapy, just go to Bali. You want therapy, just go to Bali. It's so therapeutic. It's such a therapeutic, spiritual, just zen, calming place. And I think that's why one of the reasons why a lot of people probably host retreats there. It makes sense, right? Bali, there's something spiritual. It is a spiritual land, right? Something very spiritual about it. The people, like I said, they believe in karma. So the people are some of the nicest people that you'll ever meet. Like I never felt like discriminated against being there. If anything, the people are like, oh wow, like where are you from? Like, super nice and welcoming, right? Some of the nicest people that you ever meet. It's so calming. You have to be very disciplined when you go to Bali. Like if you have work to do, you have to really like be disciplined. Like, okay, girl, you have work to do. Bali's the type of place where you're there, you just like somebody say, I want to go. Can I look at the comments too and interact? Because I like interacting too.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you can.
Jeez, I guess you can. I guess you're not looking at the comments really,
No,
right?
I don't look at the
Yes.
comments. The only reason I don't look at the comments is because like it slows us down if we like read everyone. So like I
You're
always
right.
tell
This is
people
not
every
TikTok.
episode. Yeah, I always tell people every episode, and I share in my story like, hey, send me questions, because I know that a lot of people are watching and they want to know things. Sometimes they send them, sometimes they don't. But I mean, we
It's
can,
okay. It's
and
okay. It's okay.
yeah, we
I'm
can.
I'm I'm running with whatever you're running with.
Yeah, it's
It's your
no
show.
biggie. Sometimes if it's something that's like we didn't touch on and it's important, then I'll, just bring it up. But yeah, we're just flowing.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah,
flowing.
yeah, yeah. Love it, love it. So, Bali is, I mean, actually, obviously we almost moved there too. We were torn between Bali, Indonesia, and uh, Bangkok, Thailand, if I'm being honest, right? The food quality there, I mean, it's so good. Sometimes you have to be careful too. It depends because, the water, if your stomach is sensitive, you know, you're gonna need like charcoal, what's it called? Activated charcoal, stuff like that, if you have sensitive stomach. But outside of that, fresh food, high quality food, affordable as well. The culture is different. In Bali, you will find a lot of people who are digital nomads, which means that are they have more freedom, flexibility, right? They're either entrepreneurs, right? They're business owners,
Mm-hmm.
and they have time freedom. They have time freedom, they have flexibility. So you'll find a lot of those people in Bali, Indonesia, versus people who are like really there for work. When I say work, I mean, having a business entrepreneurship is technically work. But when I say work, meaning going to like clocking somewhere, right? In
Right.
Bali, you'll find more people who are just doing things on their
Mm-hmm.
own time. And so that's the type of environment that you have. People just chilling on the beach, shoes off,
Oh, wow.
working on their laptops, just chill vibes. So that's what you get, in Bali. So it's different. It's different from the hustle culture. I mean, America, yes, it's hustle, 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 grind, 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 money, money, money. Um, people don't really have time to really connect, right? You don't know who your neighbor is. People don't, it's just so fast. But in Bali, people actually have the time to connect, to actually know how you're doing, you know even the people like the locals who may have their businesses, whichever, they still have time to like connect. It's just such a laid back environment, and it kind of reminds me a little bit because I'm born and raised in Jamaica, so I'm somewhat like used to that like kind of chill laid back lifestyle. Yeah, you go to work and stuff, whichever, but it's like people have time to connect outside, the street corner. People are playing music, eating some food, drinking whatever, hanging out with their friends. That's the type of lifestyle I'm used to like seeing. In America, it's different,
Mm-hmm.
more fast. And Bali kind of reminds me somewhat of that too.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Bali is so different from Thailand. So what's the difference? I feel like Bangkok is like a lot going on. It's just people everywhere. So I know that's so different from Bali. So, you know, flow kind of slow to kind of moving around city life. What's that like the difference?
Yeah. Yeah, so Bali, right? Indonesia, it's like that little island. You have different parts about like Jakarta in Indonesia, which Jakarta is kind of like a Bangkok, Thailand in Indonesia. But Bali is, because it's such an island, it's like close
Mhm.
knit. It's just it's not much, right? Not that there's not much to do, but it's very close knit. It's smaller. Bangkok, Thailand is, it's like it's city life. It's busy. It's cars everywhere. It's bikes everywhere. I mean, Bali has a lot of bikes too, but Bangkok, the city's so big, high-rise buildings, corporate, night markets. So there's a lot more going on in Bangkok. Um, but I will say this, because Thailand is so big, though, you can get a feel of Bali in a sense still in Thailand.
Oh,
So,
wow.
for example, yeah, so, you have Bangkok is just, that one city. Most people know it. and then you have like Koh Samui, like you have these islands as well that is associated with Thailand. Then you have like Pattaya, which is more beachy, more south. You have Phuket, which is like more beachy, calm, relaxing. It's not like Thailand. I mean, it's not like Bangkok, I should say. And then you have like Chiang Mai as well, which is it's like that in between. It's like you get
I
Thailand.
really, really like Shane. I really like. It's very family. Like
Yeah.
it gives me a very family oriented kind of vibe, like a
So,
suburb city, you know.
exactly. Slower too. And then you have like Hua Hin if you want the beachy.
Mhm.
But overall, still Thailand is still different. But just to give people a different perspective that if you don't just want city, but you want to be in Thailand, you have different parts of Thailand that you can consider too.
And Thailand
Yeah.
is very popular right now. So I know that did you experience the earthquake? Were you there? You experienced it? You know,
Yeah, so
people
funny.
want to know. The people want to know. Everybody was so cooked, and I feel like okay. So I saw a lot of hate that came with it because a
Hey,
lot of people were like, yeah, like a lot of people were like, yeah, everybody's running to Thailand. Maybe that's why the earthquake. Like it was just it was a lot that I saw, and I was like, why are people hating on Thailand because of, and what people don't know, they're not educated. The earthquake actually was not in Thailand. You guys just got the aftermath of it, correct? So,
that is correct.
so what did it look like being in the middle of an earthquake? Like, how were you feeling? What were your thoughts? Family, husband, baby, what are we doing? Is this life? How did that feel?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so interestingly enough, this is a funny story, right? I don't know. Like I said, I'm very intuitive and stuff like that. And I feel like God like downloads things in me
Mm-hmm.
too, right? Don't know if this has anything to do with it, but we were in Malaysia 2 days prior to it,
Mm-hmm.
right? So we were in Malaysia. We had our Airbnb booked to be booked through until the Friday of when the earthquake actually happened. I was like, okay, my husband was kind of saying it like, let's just shorten our reservation and leave 2 days prior to that. So we decided to leave 2 days prior from Malaysia, right?
Mm-hmm.
To come back to Bangkok. And so when I went back, before I talk about like my whole experience, when I went back to think about it, had we landed the day of the earthquake, which would have been the middle of the day when the earthquake happened. Literally the middle of the day. Malaysia is only an hour and a half flight. The flight that we would have come in on would be like literally we would have been at the airport or be coming back. It would have been very chaotic with a with our toddler, right? Either having to feel like we had to exit the the airport or whichever, or backed up because the streets were backed up. Couldn't get any taxi. People couldn't get any taxi, anything like that, right? So that's what our experience would have been if we had stayed in Malaysia 2 days longer.
Mm-hmm.
Fortunately, we were already in Bangkok. So my husband was here. My baby was here. He was sleeping. Baby boy was sleeping upstairs. My husband was taking a nap too because he works at night, right? With the time difference. We're ahead of time, like 12, 11, 13, whichever, ahead of time. So he works at night, and so he was napping during the day. Or Nani was here as well. She was here. She was downstairs. I was at a cafe, right? I was getting some work done. The cafe was like close by, not too far, and so I was getting some work done. And yeah, I was sitting down, and it's like I started feeling dizzy, and I was just like, why do I feel dizzy? Why do I feel like I'm doing this? And I was just like, okay, maybe it's nothing, right? And then it stopped, and then I was like, okay, let me get back to working. Maybe it's just me,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because nobody really said anything or nothing.
Right.
Then I started feeling it again. I started feeling my chair doing this, and I was like, wait, hold up, something is happening, and I'm either dizzy something. So I started looking at the wall. Like there was a chart on the wall doing this, and everything was just moving. And then I started looking around at people like, did y'all feel that? Because I feel, and
Right.
then I immediately just got up, I grabbed my phone, and I was confused because people were still like sitting down, and this other girl was looking at me, and then she was looking up at the ceiling, pointing at the lighting thing, saying, "Yeah, it's going around and around." And I just took myself, walked out of there. Honestly, I should have been running, but honestly, I was so like confused
Right.
and shocked and everything. I was just walking out of there. And fortunately, the cafe too was like a low rise cafe. It was easy to get out of. And I just walked and then I hurried up and called. Then we realized, oh, this is an earthquake. And then a couple of other people, I think like maybe 7 other people were out there. And we were talking about the whole thing like, oh my gosh, this is an earthquake. Like an earthquake is happening. It was like one of the most shocking thing because at the time, we didn't really fully understand what was happening.
Right.
If it originated there or whichever, it was just like, okay, this is an earthquake, right? So, and some older guy that was there, he's an expat, a little bit older. He was like, yeah, he had to just call his children and everything. They had to evacuate the school and everything. And this other guy, I was talking to 2 guys, they were from Russia. He was like, oh my gosh, what do you do? He was like, I've never experienced an earthquake, where I'm from and stuff.
Yeah.
And so we're talking, and then I called them here on our group chat to see what's going on. They had to grab the baby, get out the house and everything. And it was just the craziest thing. I was so shocked because I'm like, that's crazy. I'm like, Thailand is not even on the boat line, right? Like earthquakes don't happen here.
Mm-hmm.
It just doesn't. Well, it didn't happen here. It originated in Myanmar,
Mm-hmm.
right? In Burma, Myanmar, and it was so strong. Like because Myanmar is like a neighboring country of Thailand, so strong, and so we kind of felt that the after tremors of it. So fortunately, it was not a lot of like damage. There are some cosmetics and for not here, but for some like condos and stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that. But fortunately, it wasn't anything crazy except for that building that they were building. It was still under construction, and unfortunately, like that collapse and stuff. Some people were, you know, yeah. But it was shocking, if I'm gonna be
Mm-hmm.
honest. It was like really shocking. Like wasn't expecting that, but and then I was nervous after a while because like with earthquakes, it's like you never know if it's gonna happen again or what's gonna come after that or all these things.
Right. Of
you know.
course.
Yeah, I was nervous for a couple nights, but I'm like, God is in control, and at the end of the
Yes.
day, if it's my time, it's just my time. But I guess it's also the thought of, dang, like I just moved here. But what's funny is, I also experienced an earthquake when I was in Bali last year in August. Um,
Yeah, I heard somebody
yeah,
talk about that before. That's crazy.
yeah, in August we were there.
Fine.
There was an earthquake, and it was strong too.
Yeah, you said it was strong too. The charger too.
Yep, and yeah, I was like, oh my gosh, I felt the bed like it was, yeah, it was even a rougher jerk than even the one here. I think Bali has them quite often, if I'm not mistaken, because also they have like the volcanoes or the volcano is
Mm-hmm.
there, so they kind of have earthquakes. So
Wow.
yeah.
Okay. Okay.
hmm
So having a baby, well, especially a younger child, because your baby is like what, 1 or 2?
Yeah, he's one and going on 1.5.
Okay, okay. So having a baby and living abroad, what does that look like as far as like for the moms? Daycare. Oh, this light is gonna piss me off. So I don't know why it keeps going off. Because the charger is on it, so it shouldn't be, but it might just, it's always those little things. But anywho,
Yeah,
um,
it's all right.
yeah, so
We
like
can still
what
see
does
your
that look
beautiful face.
like? Huh?
I said we can still see your beautiful face.
Thank you. Okay, okay. Yeah, we're gonna have to like work with this right now. So being a mom abroad and having a younger baby, how do you work with that, especially with working and just everyday life? Are there daycares, nannies? Which route did you take? and just share a little about how you do things.
Yeah, so that's a good question. I will say this. One, when we were in the US, one of my goals was always to be able to be more like at home, whether I'm an entrepreneur running a business, whichever. I always wanted to have that flexibility of being present, may not be
Mhm.
24/7 at home, but at least, most days, having that flexibility and that opportunity to be able to be with my child, my children, in future. And so when I was in the US, we were pretty much just doing everything, just tag teaming, my husband and I tag teaming. And then after
Mhm.
a while, business stuff started to kind of catch up, and I'm just like, OMG, I'm going to need some like help. But I did not want to put our son in daycare. For one, it just didn't make sense to me for us.
Mhm.
Um, and I know that everybody choose what works best for them, but I'm saying for us, I didn't like the daycare option. For one, doing research and this psychology behind it and all those things. And him just not being where I can really see him when he's not able to really
Mhm.
speak, to communicate feelings, what's happening, all those things. So, maybe it's just me being like an overprotective mom as well, but I wanted him to be at home in his safe, sacred space where his familiar, he takes his nap when he wants to take his nap, his routine, everything can be. I wanted him to have that, consistency,
Mhm.
that environment that he can truly thrive in, that he feels safe in. So I didn't want him to put him somewhere, I just, yeah, maybe because it's my first baby too. And so I started looking at how I can get maybe like a part-time a sitter or somebody to come in. And of course, it says one price online. Like I signed up for care.com at the time. And I was looking to see, okay, can I have somebody come in maybe 3 days a week to help me out? Because this, business stuff is, my husband at the time in the US, he was working outside of the
Mhm.
home until he started working remotely. Then he started working remotely again.
Mhm.
And so that was nice, a little bit helpful, but he was still working, right?
Right.
So it's mostly just me. And so I was trying to juggle business, being a mom, all of these things. So it was hard. It was hard. And the prices on like care.com, they would say one price. And then when you go on there or contact the person, it was just another price. And also, I didn't really feel too good about it. Just your instincts. I didn't feel good about like the people and the process and just everything. And so I just scrapped it. And so here was a no-brainer for me, right? When we did our research, the quality of care that we would be able to have, and the affordability of it and everything. Oh, by the way, to answer your question, sorry, yes, they do have like daycares and stuff like that here. Um, most countries, I think, but yeah, here in Bangkok, they have like the early childhood schools too, and like daycares and stuff like that. You can go to the international ones, and then they also have the very local ones that are even more affordable, where it's mostly in Thai. And so the route that we decided to go was have a nanny so that baby boy can still be in his safe space, be at home. I can still be here. I know what's going on, every day, but just have that additional help in our home. Like that just made more sense to me than having him go somewhere to then have to pick him up. And then with the support that we have in our home, it just works so well because it works around us. It works around our schedule. It works around his schedule. And then we also have that additional help. Like our nanny's amazing. Like she is amazing, right? So grateful for her. And a lot of the nannies here are like that. Like, you can negotiate and go over the terms and stuff like that with your nanny. Like, are they gonna be helping you with prepping, meals for baby, or are they gonna help you with, folding laundry, helping you with laundry, doing laundry, whichever, So it's just nice to have that like additional support around the house. So yeah, that's the route that we decided to take.
I love it. I love it so much. Your second mom, that has been on the podcast who has a nanny, and I feel like
Oh,
we need to promote that more for us as women in general. We deserve an easier life as mothers. Raising a child is a village effort. It's not anything that should be done by
mm,
one person or even by two people. I really
yeah,
feel like in these other countries, they raise children collectively, like literally a village, right? So I want to promote that as much as possible, that all moms should get nannies if they can afford it. I
yeah.
know that some people are kind of, oh, go ahead.
No,
Okay,
you
okay.
can finish.
I was gonna say, I know that some people are kind of funny about, oh, I don't know if I can trust this person with my children. So touch on that a little and give us the insight and mind frame that you were in, because I know sometimes we think that, especially in another country where a person doesn't necessarily speak your language or look like you, and that's just something I want to highlight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, listen, so this is the thing, right? Growing up, growing up, you hear the term somebody have a nanny. Immediately growing up as a child, I think, they're celebrity, super rich, whichever. Or at one point, I used to probably think, oh wow, would they have someone else like just taking over, right? And them not raising their child. I'm just saying that was the naive me, ignorant me, like as a child.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then like as an adult, like I realized, oh, having a nanny in my earlier age, years too, having a nanny doesn't mean that you are literally handing over your
Right.
child to somebody to raise. They're offering you support, right? One thing I don't understand, I never understand, is why people, for one, like bash people who decide to have that help inside of their home, like specialized help, versus people who decide to, put their child in daycare. It's kind of like similar. It's like asking for support. It's basically just what it is,
Mm-hmm.
right? Um, so, for me, you were asking, what is the like, oh, the mindset around that, right? Like trusting someone to come in and, you know, um, it's all boils down, like as a mom, you have instincts, right? You have instincts, just like when you go on an interview, interview people, you can have a testing period, you can be there during those, you can have cameras set up in your house. Like there's a lot of different things, right? When you take your child to like, a daycare or a facility or whosoever, you don't necessarily know exactly what's going on,
Mm-hmm.
but think of it this way, like when you have that specialized care within your home, you can kind of like control and navigate more of what's
Right.
happening right inside of the home.
Mm-hmm.
And you can vet out. You can either go through an agency where they vet out, their nannies as well, background checks, all those things. Just like in America, they have these platforms, care.com, whichever, where they kind of vet people out. So you decide how you want to do your vetting process. But, for us, we trust our nanny. The nanny that we have, she's amazing. She also has, two boys on her own, of her own as well. And so, she has that motherly, instincts too. So, yeah, we feel good. We feel good about it. It feels good to have that additional support. And I feel like you said, it's so important for people to have that additional support. You know, there are some people who have like the mom, the aunt, the sister, the grandparent, the this, the that, to rally around and to help out, right? You have some people who are they're able to do that. They're able to drop the kids off for a weekend or for a week with grandma or with aunt or whosoever it is, right? Even in the U.S., oral lifestyle, how oral life was designed, and its family and everything, we didn't have that additional support at
Mm-hmm.
all. So it was literally just hubby and I tag teaming for the entire time. So it does feel good to kind of be able to, I would say, get a little bit of, break and more, a little bit, me time, and be able to be more consistent on things that allow me to stay healthy, like having
Right.
my set workout routine and stuff like that. Now, because before, I wasn't able to really
Have that.
be
Yeah.
as consistent, with no additional support, right? So, um, yeah,
I
yeah,
love it.
we
I
feel
love
good
it.
about it. And also, I want to say this: it is so normal. It is so normal. Like, I think it's only in America where it's just like this individualized concept of, oh, you got to do it all yourself, or this is not normal. Only the rich or this person can have this type of level of help. In other countries, there's a lot of countries in Africa where that's like a thing. It's the norm, right? Um, Here in Southeast Asia as well, people have help, like or neighbors. They are Thai. It's not just foreigners coming here or going to different countries and deciding to hire nannies, right? They are Thai and they have, a little girl as well, and they've had their nanny. They sometimes call them nanny maids here because a lot of times the nannies, like I said, they'll do extra stuff like they'll clean, they'll tidy up. It just really all depends, right? And so they're locally Thai. They speak English as well, and they have like a nanny, right? A nanny maid that's been with them for years, right? Another little boy around the corner, he's Thai. His, parents are Thai, or I think one of the parent is Thai, whichever. And they have, a nanny. It's so normal. I remember when I went to Jakarta, right, Indonesia,
Mhm.
last year before we came to Bangkok, and they're so family friendly here. That's another thing about what I love about Southeast Asia. Now I know we haven't really touched on that yet, but I just have to say they're so family oriented and family friendly. Like when you go to the malls here and everything, you'll notice rooms designated for nursing moms, like separate from just the bathroom where you change your baby. Sometimes they'll have designated family changing rooms out separate from like the woman's bathroom, right? And I remember in Jakarta, I was there to change my baby, and I was so shocked to see that they had this huge, it was almost like a clinic separate inside the mall. It was like a huge nursing room with different private rooms where you can, my lighting thing is off, hold on. Okay, can I see? Sorry. Yeah, where you can change your baby, nurse your baby, all those things. And I was talking to a lady there. She had her mom with her. I think she had her mom and her nanny. Yeah,
Mhm.
she had her mom and her nanny.
Wow, together.
Change, yes,
I
changing
know
the
that's
baby.
right.
Changing the baby. I'm like, look at you. Not you have your mom, and your nanny changing the baby. And we were talking, and she was saying how, yeah, it's the norm here for working moms to, have that additional help. And we noticed that while we were walking around the mall, we saw a lot of families, especially with young, like babies, with that additional support with them, with like their, nannies with them. So apparently it's the norm. Like
Yeah,
it's having a village, not just like the whole nanny concept, but that additional support to help you with
exactly.
rearing of your child, not handing. People need to get out of that mindset that, oh, you're just handing your child over. No, it's getting that additional support. And so that's how we see it. And by the grace of God, we were able to get a super supportive, amazing nanny that she goes above and beyond. Our son loves her. And you know what?
I love
He
it.
knows the difference. Yeah, he loves her. He knows the difference. He knows that I'm mom. He knows that, when he knows that, like, obviously he prefers me, right? Yeah.
Of
So if
course,
they're
of
playing or
course.
whatever, yeah, when they're playing or whichever, and I go down there for something, I'm like, oh Lord, let me hide. Because as soon as he sees me, he's like, Mama, he wants to be with me, right? And that's how it is, usually. And I still make sure that we have a certain routine where I try to be the first person that he sees when he wakes up anyway. Always myself or my husband, but most times it's me, and like nighttime routine stuff like that. At least for now, for these eight. Maybe when he gets older, it may be a little bit different, but we still like to be the ones to, you know, send him, put him to bed, stuff like
I
that.
love
So
it.
yeah,
So intentional with parenting. Once you have more, it'll probably still be the same. I feel like that's how I was when I first started. And then once you start having more, you'll see like, man, I take this stuff so seriously because you do, like, right? Parenting is just so, I mean, it is serious to me, at least. I mean, I have fun, but at the same time, these are little people we're grooming. That's going to be husbands and fathers one day. You get what I'm saying? So it's just a different. Okay, so let's talk about the people, which you did touch on that some more. Let's talk about that some more. And like the food and just connecting with the culture. I feel like sometimes when people go to these countries, they totally neglect the fact that you have to coexist with these people with, well, I wouldn't say these people with, yeah, with these people's way of life. I try to be very careful with how I word things. People are just kind of extra sometimes. So I try to, be respectful on how I word things, but coexisting with their culture, not being of their culture, but having that willingness to dive in, to learn, to connect. What did that look like for you guys? Interconnecting with the culture, getting a hold of the food. Like I heard that the food isn't seasoned how they season in the States. It's a lot different. So just having to learn to have it that way with not a lot of seasoning and speaking Thai, just all that stuff.
The food doesn't have a lot of seasoning here in Thailand. That's what people say.
I've heard people say that it isn't heavily seasoned like the States. Like, not that it's not seasoned, but you know how in the States they overly season things. You know how it gets: garlic pepper, Lawry's, things like that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's because yeah, I guess we're so conditioned to always have to have all this and maybe trying to cover up the real taste. Like there's the actual food, the food that's supposed to have the taste doesn't really have the natural food taste. So,
Right.
that's it. But here I find that the food is pretty well, but I don't know, maybe it's me, but pretty, seasoned. It depends where, but like the authentic, if you're eating like the authentic Thai food, um, I find that they use a lot of like herbal um spices and stuff like that here, which I like. Um, but to answer your question about interacting and I for one I love immersing myself with like local cultures. Where like wherever I go, I want to learn the language, the main greetings, the food. I want to learn, right? And so being here, I find myself a lot in even the village that we live in now. I'm not fluent in Thai, but I'll still be out there, be talking to the Thai ladies, like, using Google Translate if possible, or just really just trying to be really fully immersed, and like they're okay with it. They're like, okay, girl, I know you don't really understand what I'm saying, whichever, but just learning, like slowly learning. And so I love that. I love being immersed in the culture. The little village that we live here, they love baby boy too. And so sometimes we're out there just being, present with the other local Thai kids and everything. And so um, I try to be intentional too. Like sometimes if I'm like out at the market, like I love, love, love going directly to the fresh markets to get like my fresh food and stuff. And I'll go to specific vendors, like they know me, they look forward to seeing me and everything. And they teach me stuff when I'm there. Like even the other day, like a week ago or so, I went to the market. I went to my papaya lady, and whatever I say as much as I can say in Thai.
Right.
Like they know I'm learning, they know I'm trying. I'm gonna say as much as I can say, and whatever I can't say. Sometimes people will be walking by, or other local Thai people buying stuff too from the same people, and they'll be like, This is how you say it, girl." Like this is how you say it. But they're so helpful, and just like I just love the culture here. Love, 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 love it, love it, love it, love it. So it's just a beautiful thing to just immerse yourself in the culture. Uh, still having your uniqueness, right? Still being you. Like obviously, I'm not from here, and I'm not embarrassed that I don't know all the words, but at least I'm trying. Like I'm being
Right.
intentional. Like I'm
Somebody said
sawadika.
sawadika.
So much we fast. Um, yeah, the people are so amazing. I mean, I love it. So I'm learning Thai. And so yeah, you just gotta be intentional with it, just have fun with it and just immerse yourself as much as possible, you know? So yeah.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it so much. So, what advice would you give to someone who is looking to move abroad? What are some important tips that they need to know?
Mm, wow. Yeah, see, so and that's such a loaded question because it's like there's so much to know.
Right. Well, just what comes to mind? What's like the most important? So I
Yeah,
know it's a ton of things, but you could just highlight what's important to you.
yeah. So when it comes to moving abroad, for one, of course you got to figure out where do you want to go, right? And not just where do you want to go, but why do you want to go there? And really think about your why. Ask yourself, is it because I see a lot of people on Instagram, YouTube, wherever going there, right, sharing their experience? Obviously, there are a lot of highlight reels, right? I do believe that most of what people share on the internet about Thailand or Southeast Asia in general is pretty legit, pretty accurate.
Mhm.
It's an amazing place. That's why we decided to move here. Again, I've been to almost 30 countries, and this part of the world was like,
Wow.
okay, yeah, this
I love it.
yeah feels like home. I could live here, right? So you have to ask yourself, okay, why do you want to move there? And also ask yourself important questions like make sure that you have your priorities together is what I want to say. Your priorities together. What are your priorities?
Right.
What are your priorities? Uh, is it safety, healthcare? What is the healthcare like there? What is your health like? But when most people leave the US, you automatically just become healthier. Like I've heard so many stories of how people were able to heal
Right.
themselves or get healed or whatever just because they left the US. I mean,
Right.
US itself, the stress alone will make you sick. The food will make you sick. Everything will make you sick in the US. But ask yourself what's important to you: the healthcare, the food, access to food, healthcare, stuff like that. If you have children, what are your plans with schooling? Are you going to be homeschooling? Are you going to be sending them in school? If you plan on sending them into school or daycare or whichever, what are those programs like? What's the cost of those programs? Is it in your budget? Most importantly, one of the most important things I would say is what way or how are you going to create sustainable income while abroad, right? What is your plan? Because some people actually still have the mindset that I'm going to go abroad to look for a job. And I'm going to tell you right now that that's not necessarily the mindset what you want to have. You don't want to leave one system to go to another system, first of all. Second of all, it's not the same it's not the same process. Things look different in different countries. There are labor laws, like as to who can be hired as a foreigner and stuff like. There's a lot of gray areas,
Right.
right? So you can definitely get certain jobs, but you're going to be very limited to what type of jobs, stuff like that you can do in different countries. So ask yourself, what are ways that you're going to be able to create sustainable income, right? Do you have a remote job, or do you have a job that you can take remote? You can ask your employer, your job, whichever, to take that job remote, where you can pretty much work from anywhere. Or have that business, right? I'm team business. I'm team start your own business, be a freelancer, whichever independent contractor, which you can still pretty much be a business with doing those things. That will give you more time freedom, location freedom, and all of those things.
Right.
So definitely ask yourself how you're going to sustain your income abroad. So those are like some of the main things that I can think of because also, right? Moving abroad and visiting somewhere on vacation is two different things. It's two completely different things. You know, you can be somewhere on vacation, it's all cool, dandy, whichever, but living there can be a whole different ball game. So you want to make sure that it's conducive for you and your family. Living there is conducive to you and your family. And it just aligns. Make sure that it aligns with your goals, with your family goals. Yeah. So priorities, think about your priorities and your your income. How you're going to sustain yourself there.
Yeah.
Those are some things that I can think of off the top of my head, like immediately.
Those were great. Those were great. Because the last question that I was going to ask, because we've had you for like an hour now, I didn't want to keep you over. But the last question that I wanted
This
to
is fun.
ask,
It was only an hour. It was only an hour. I
yeah,
feel like I could keep going on
it goes
here.
by so fast, and I love it too because I'm like, once I figure out, you know, the little technical backside, I was like, I want to make the shows a little bit longer because I actually enjoy it. I can sit here and do this all day. I could just do this all day because I'm so passionate about it. I love it, and I love hearing. You see how I'm listening? Like, I feel like I'm a good
Yeah,
listener. So
you
I'm
are.
taking in. I like to hear different people's experiences. I don't know. It's so liberating. I love it so much. But the last thing
Yeah,
that
we
I
can
want
do a couple many more minutes if you want. It's fine. I'm free if
okay.
you want.
So the main question that we always hear, how am I gonna make money abroad? That was the last question. You started going into it a little like with what you just explained, but this is the thing that I want a lot of people to understand, and I want you to give your perspective. I think that people get so focused on how am I gonna make money? How am I gonna make money? How am I gonna make money? And I always say that I personally feel like moving abroad is a spiritual journey. And even like when I do my consultations, I teach people that and I show people how it is because it is. Because you're literally rewiring the subconscious mind into not being in hustle culture. And I think that people take that and they like embed it into them and they still have that mindset when they leave. So it's like, I gotta have this job, I gotta have this job. But I keep trying to explain to a lot of people that once you move abroad, you ultimately start to become an entrepreneur. Like for me and you, we were obviously already entrepreneurs, you know, so we kind of already had the entrepreneurship thing going on. She says she loves your voice.
No, well, thank you.
And I feel like people don't realize that you have to get into the entrepreneurship mind. If you pay attention to most people who move abroad, what do? They become entrepreneurs because you kind of get to living on your own means and you see the value in entrepreneurship. So give us a little insight on your perspective as far as that. And I know that I'm not down talking remote jobs to anyone that does work a remote job. I feel like it serves its purpose until it doesn't serve its purpose anymore. And some people need it to begin with, but I don't feel that it should be a long-term focus. So I'll let you give your perspective as far as that.
Yeah, sure. Somebody was asking if I vlog or if I'm a teacher or if they're saying something about my Instagram is not up there, but I think it up top it should be next to this one.
Yeah, could you do me a favor? I always just ask if you can drop it in the comments and I'll pin it. And then that way you guys can all follow. We always do for everyone that's coming in new, we do this every Thursday, okay? So there is a new guest every Thursday. I always pin their information at the end so you guys can follow them. Yep, she's gonna write it and then I'm gonna pin it because sometimes people don't see it at the top. So we'll definitely pin it for you. Okay, got it. Give me 1 second, guys. Okay, so make sure you follow her. So for everyone just coming in, just a quick recap. We do these episodes every Thursday. There is a new guest. We highlight moving abroad and the experiences. All of the guest information is going to always be pinned so that you guys can follow. Everyone who comes on the show has a platform that you can follow. That's the whole point. I want you to head over to her page, follow. She's on TikTok as well. And you got YouTube also, right?
Yeah.
So
I have a YouTube.
the link in your bio, right?
Yeah, yeah, the link is in my bio. My YouTube is under Shibivia. I should just keep all my names the same, but I recently changed back my Instagram name. But
No, it's
yeah,
okay. If it's in your
yeah,
bio, I
it's in
always
the
tell that they can
yeah,
just, it's in your bio, right? Okay.
yeah, yeah. All my links, all my stuff, yeah, is in my bio.
Yep. So if you guys want to follow her journey, make sure you click the link in her bio so you can follow her on different platforms. Definitely follow her on TikTok because I feel like that's where a lot of you guys love to be. Is TikTok. And I get it because it's like you can share more, people are more interactive. I feel like people on TikTok are more positive too. Like I feel like they're nicer than Instagram. Instagram is mean.
It's funny. It's funny that you said that. I've been having so much fun over like on TikTok too, honestly, because I feel like I can just pop up there with my phone. I have a thought, I can just pop up there, share, and the feedback has been so like it's night and day with Instagram. Instagram, I'm like fighting to like grow my Instagram and stuff like that, like the interaction, even not even just the numbers. I don't care so much about the numbers, but the interaction, right? And so like on TikTok, the interaction is there. Like people actually interact stuff like that. So it's been really fun. It's been really fun over there. So yeah.
It is fun. It is fun. So we were on you giving your perspective about business and working abroad as far as either entrepreneurship or remote job.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, like you said, if remote job is going to be that vehicle, that initial vehicle to get you there, use it, leverage it, right? But eventually, I am, I am team business. Like when I started my business, uh, my business grew so much to the point where I was able to, like I said, quit my job you know, earlier than I thought, right? And so that allowed me more freedom, time freedom, flexibility. I earned more money in my business than what I was making flying. I also used to be a flight attendant too, by the way, for a mainline commercial airline at the time. I probably said that before, but having a business is so freeing. Like you're getting away from that system, right? That says, oh, you got to be here for 8 hours a day. This is when you take lunch. This is how long you take lunch. This is how much money you make. This is, you know what I mean? Like you're freeing your mind from that system, right? Entrepreneurship is such a freeing thing. And so I would encourage everyone and anyone to consider that path, even as like a freelancer, if you don't know how to get clients or work or whatever, you can start with platforms that are already out there, that are already built, that already have millions of people going to those platforms anyway, right? For traffic, right? And there's a skill, right? I always say there's a skill, there's a talent that you have that you're getting paid for right now. Your job is paying you for something, for it, that skill, for that talent. And they're saying, I'm going to give you this much money. But what if you could use that same skill and that same talent that your job is paying you for right now and turn that into a business, right? And do that for yourself and you determine how much money you make, or even consult the same thing that your job is paying you for. How about you consult and have people pay you to teach them how to do that thing? In 2025 now, there are so many options, ways, and resources, so many ways that you can go when it comes to like income. It doesn't matter if even if you feel like you don't have any skills or any talent, there's something that you can sell. There's something that you can sell,
It is.
virtually. There's so many options. So I would say go that options. A lot of people have that entrepreneurial spirit, that mindset, but a lot of times it's like fear or how do I get to that next step? All of these things. So um, consider it, right? Don't be fearful. Explore the options
Yes.
and do it. Also, when it comes to having a business, right? I love to talk about this so much. I even just did a free masterclass 2 days ago on how to make other people's money work for you other people's time and money work for you in business so that you can grow a business, scale your business, build a business that you love, where you can essentially remove yourself somewhat, that you're not doing all parts of everything, so that you can live a more freeing life, have more control over your time, have more freedom and flexibility. And that's with business, and again, using other people's money, time, and resources. So I just did a masterclass on that. The replay is there still, by the way. The free replay is there. It's in my link in my bio, the first link as well. You can, if you guys are interested in that, right? Somebody says, is there? Yeah, there's a link to the masterclass. It's in my bio. If you go to my bio, it's there. It's the first link. And yeah, I share how you can, like I said, use business income or business funding, I should say, business credit strategies so that you can grow your business. So if you're looking at moving abroad, essentially, right? Let's say you have a brick and mortar business or an online business, whichever, you can use other people's money, resources to deploy it so that you can leverage other people's time and efforts so that you can remove yourself somewhat and have that freedom, that flexibility to live anywhere, to live abroad, right? So it's just so many options, so many ways to go about it. But I love, love, love business, y'all. And yeah, with entrepreneurship, it comes with like downtimes too. Sometimes I'm not here to sell you, oh, you're gonna make all this money every month or whichever, right? You can eventually do that too, get there. You have low seasons, down seasons, and then you have some seasons where it takes a lot of
Right.
grit, meaning you're gonna have to do this thing, right? You're probably gonna have to stay up later tonight, or this thing is not working out. You're gonna have to fix this, or this person that you hired or whatever is not working out, right? It comes with a lot of that, but I will have that any day. At this season that I'm in my life, I will have that any day than being tied to a schedule. Because I'm telling you, like, again, I'm not knocking a job. A job, I feel like, is the stepping stool to where you want to go. Ask yourself, what's the end
Right.
direction? You know what I mean? Like, this job can be a stepping stool. So again, not to knock it. Like my, husband, I've had like, but where do you want to take this thing? Because I remember, I can tell you, when I used to be a flight attendant, it sounds glamorous and everything, but it wasn't always glamorous, okay? And I was still always tied to their time, even if I was probably in a cute country, maybe, or a cute city, on a quick little layover, can spend a little time outside the city. Guess what? I was still on somebody else's time. I was still away from home. I was still away from the people that I love. I was still away from things that I actually really wanted to do. Um, Still working long hours, still commuting. Like, there were a lot of times that I was so drained, like so drained and lonely and sad and depressed.
Mhm.
Okay. So I just say that to say that it's so worth it. It's so worth it to consider having that business. Launch that biz. I like to say, I should probably coin that, but launch that biz, okay? Start that business, grow that business, and yeah, have that freedom that you deserve with your family. Live the life that you deserve. Live that soft life abroad, okay? With that business.
I, I love it. And it's like time
Yeah.
freedom, I personally feel like is one of the most important things there is in life. I joke with family and friends, I talk my shit. I'm like, well, you got to go to work. I love being able, because I'm not a morning person, right? I love being able to sleep to whatever time I want. I love being able to do things by my own means. I've literally integrated my business into my personal life. When I'm talking to clients, I'm at the grocery store, I'm driving in the car. Like, you get what I'm saying? Having that, listen, nothing can top that. And even
Yeah.
like you were just saying, that was a reminder for me, because last night I was tired because I'm, moving abroad right now, transitioning, getting ready to go. But I still have to run my business, even in the midst of me making such a major life move. But still, wonder if I was doing all of this and I had to report to a job, even if it's a remote job, it's still the time freedom that's everything. Yeah, you might be a little tired. Things might not be as easy, but what we do is so fulfilling to us. I feel like it helps us mentally as well as mothers and women, wives, etc. Because it's an easier life, like you said, a soft life, by your own means. Yeah, you still have to work, but it's by your own means. And I love that. That's something that money can
Absolutely.
never buy.
It cannot. It's just amazing. Like, yeah, I choose my own schedule. I love being in the future, by the way, living like 12 hours of like Eastern. Well, now it's the time went back. So it's like
Right.
13 hours of like Eastern time, whichever. But I love being in the future, but also being able to do things on my own time. I can spend time with my son, with my family, and be like, okay, well, these are the hours that I'm gonna work. It's great.
I love it
Yeah.
so much. I love it. We appreciate you so much for coming on and just sharing your journey with us. I'm just still loving the fact that you got 2 visas, okay? That is dope. That is so
Yeah.
dope.
Yeah, and thanks for having me on, by the way. Yeah, this was so fun. Like I've been loving doing these. Like I love this. I love this. I can talk all day. Like when you're passionate about something, like you can talk about it all day. So
Yeah.
I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me on. This was
Mhm.
so fun.
So happy for having you. Thank you for being transparent and willing to share and just giving your perspective. I feel like you have a beautiful journey. And everyone that I talk to, journeys are so different but so beautiful. And I think that's the value of it, is that we can all choose to take a different route, but it's the power of every different route that has been taken. It still has so much value, and just being able to show people that there are different ways. You might see somebody do something that another person has never done, but you might get some inspiration from this person, right? So I just love
Mhm.
that. Nice. I got my Jamaican
Yeah.
citizenship for the fly on the US passport.
Oh, and my butt was saying how I want to get permanent residency elsewhere, but I keep forgetting that I was born in Jamaica too. So technically, push comes
So
to
you got
shove,
like
then,
three,
you know.
right? Look at
Yeah, exactly.
you. I love it. I love it. And having those, you just got decisions. You got options. You can slide whichever way you decide to go. And that's what it's all about.
Yeah,
That's another thing that
that's
I
what
like
it's all
to
about.
highlight. You know,
Hmm.
I like to highlight that people need to
Yeah.
be able to this. It can be done, y'all. For the people who think that it can't be done, oh, you heard the accent.
Yeah.
I know. I love how she like flop back and forth. Like I feel like you like trying to catch yourself sometime, but I can hear it because it's deep. I love it.
Yep. Hmm. Yeah, you call you. Yeah, you can't really you can't get it out of me now. I mean, mhm.
I love it. I love it so much. So make sure you guys follow. She is tagged. The comment is pinned with her Instagram. Head over, follow her. Click the link in her bio if you want to see the masterclass that you just did, right?
Mhm.
That's in her bio. Her YouTube is in her bio. All her information. Follow her on TikTok. We really enjoyed her today. Thank you for sharing with us. Thank you for giving us a different perspective on life abroad. And we wish you nothing but the best. And
Thank
yeah,
you.
thank you.
So, and same to you. I know that you said that you're moving too, so I'm super excited to hear all about your journey and your story.
Yes.
And I hope that you have a smooth transition too.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I'm like an open private person. I've did a lot of vlogging, but I have not put it out there. People still don't know where I'm going, just personal people, but I haven't put it out to the world yet. But
Mhm.
we leave Wednesday, so y'all will see when we get there. So
Ooh,
I've been keeping it
what?
on the hush. Actually preparing. I was up all night cleaning, throwing stuff away, trying to prepare. And then so that we can be on time for today for this episode. But the show don't stop just because I'm doing what I'm. The show does not stop. We got to keep rolling. So
Right, exactly.
I appreciate it so much. So yeah, like I said, make sure you guys follow her, and we hope to see more of you in the future, right?
Absolutely, for sure. I may not be in Bangkok still. We don't
Right.
know, but I'll be abroad. I'll be out of the US.
Yes, we are so interested to see where you gonna be because you don't waste no time. You say I'm gonna be here. I'm gonna be here. I need to have options of where I want to be. I love that. I really, really love that.
Hmm.
It's like my favorite. That's my favorite part about your story. I love
Oh,
it. So,
oh, wow.
but thank you again. Sending you so much love.
Thank
And we will
you.
be
Liddy
talking
said,
to
love
you.
this. Thank you all for being here.
Yes.
Yeah, appreciate y'all for
Thank
watching
you.
too.
Thank you guys. Yes, and we'll be talking to you soon, okay? Make sure you
Okay.
guys follow. I dropped the episode so you guys can follow. For anybody that is gonna watch the replay, I'll have the link for you guys so you can watch this moment.
Awesome.
Great knowledge.
Awesome. Awesome.
Thank you. Yes, thank you so
Bye.
much. We'll see you soon, love. Peace. Enjoy your night
Okay.
because it's nighttime, right? So you headed
Yep.
to
Yep. It is.
you headed to bed.
I'm probably gonna get some more work done because I'm more at night, like a night
Oh,
owl.
night.
It's like 10:30. It's 10:30 p.m. here. So
Okay. Okay,
yeah.
I love it. It's 11:33 a.m. for me, so I'm about to start my
Yeah.
day, and you're about to get ready for bed. So I love it.
Right.
All right.
Right. All right.
Thank you. We'll
Bye.
see you soon. Peace.
Okay. Bye.